Hi there. We're back. It's Ron, and it's music, and that kind of thing. And here's Patty. Patty's with it. Yes, she's going to help me get it together on Sunday.
Who are we going to talk about today?
Well, I thought we'd talk about the world's greatest entertainer. His name is Al Jolsen.
Oh, boy.
He was born Asa Jolsen, and he was born in Eastern Europe, which was a part of Russia. Mm-hmm. And his father came over. He was a cantor. Immigrated to the United States, sent for the family. Mm-hmm. Finally got a decent job, sent for the family, and that's how it all began. There were four children. Al had a brother named Herschel who became Harry, and so they started out as a team.
Oh,
and they'd leave home in the night. They just Papa didn't like show business, so they just go and do things. And however, that went on for a while, and Harry kind of went his way, and Al became the famous that duo, you know. And in 1906, and I think I mentioned last time, we talked about San Francisco being kind of pivotal. Well, Al went out to San Francisco about 1906, and actually, yes, the earthquake had happened, a terrible earthquake. And he went out there and to entertain, basically, to help cheer people up. They needed that. They set up huge tents and just to get the morale of everybody up so things could go on. And he made a huge hit in 19... Now, he'd been in other things before then. He'd tried a lot of different things, and it was okay and this and that. But by the time 1906 came around, he'd honed his act a bit, and it was a big time. And so that was it for Al Jolsen. He went out to San Francisco, came back to New York, signed up with the Schuberts, who were the famous Schubert brothers. They owned lots of Broadway houses, and they built for Al Jolsen. I think, maybe I'm wrong about building it for him, but I think maybe. If not, they sure got a good use out of it. Something called the Winter Garden. Al Jolsen, from 1911 to 1920-something, had 9 consecutive sold-out performances every 9 years, every year at the Winter Garden. That's just amazing.
That's unheard of. Yeah.
I don't think things like that pretty much happen anymore.
No,
it was a different time, but still, you know, it was amazing. And he was paid in 1913. They put him on a salary of $2,000 a week. 1913.
Boy, that must have been a fortune.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He even talked them into putting runways down the middle of the audience, tearing out seats, which the Schubert brothers were very loath to do, for that was money. Yeah. And he said, no. We'll pack him in all the time, and he did. And so anything he asked, they pretty much gave him.
Wow.
It's amazing. One time he was out in Chicago, and he was doing a show, and somebody knocked on his door, and there were 2 toughs. And they said, we want you to go meet our friend. And Al said, well, who are you? He said, well, you'll want to meet him. His name's Al, too. Sure enough, it was Al Capone.
Oh, my.
And Al Capone had sent 2 guys over, you know, to get him over to his place because he loved it. He loved Al Jolsen. And so Al Jolsen did a performance for Al Capone. And, you know, he said, that was fine. He didn't really want that kind of thing anymore, but it was okay. Anyway, Al was quite a character, but he was truly married to show business. He had 2 unsuccessful marriages, one to a beautiful, delightful little person named Ruby Keeler. And it just, nothing would take, because he was always married to the theater. That was all. That was it. And he didn't understand it even. Right. He really didn't understand what the problem was. But that was it. And he, I'm just kind of getting through things kind of quickly because, you know, time and all. But Jolsen was basically the consummate, out there, in your face. Georgie Jessel had said that when people came from Europe in 1913, the Jewish immigrants at least, they were all rather sour and dour. And he said Jolsen was the first one to come out on stage, and he was alive and energetic. He said it was amazing. Nobody had seen anything like it before, ever. It's hard to imagine it now with all the stuff we have now. Yeah. This is hard to imagine that was
the thing.
Yeah.
It was the thing.
It was the thing. And he maintained that. He was popular through the 30s. He still did movies. Just an amazing man. And when the war broke out, the Second World War broke out, Pearl Harbor. He was there. He was the first man to sign up, the first entertainer to sign up to go entertain the troops.
Oh.
Yeah, and also he had what was it? The Korean War. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The Korean War broke out. Bingo, back again. By this time, though, he'd had some problems. He'd had some lung troubles, that kind of thing, but that didn't dissuade him. He was going to entertain the guys, the troops, and he went to Korea.
Kind of like the original Bob Hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bob Hope.
And just gave everything. I think he ate nothing but Spam the entire tour of Korea. I believe that's what he said. He said, I won't know what food. I had no clue. All I know is Spam. But when he came home, he wasn't feeling too good because I think he'd done something like 42 shows in like 9 days. Unreal.
Yeah.
Because he always gave everything, And it was literally, they came home to San Francisco, and he was not feeling good. They called the doctor. They went up to the hotel room, and he said, I think I can't feel my pulse. I think I'm going. And he died.
Oh, I'll be darned.
This is amazing. But
is strange.
he left an imprint on all of the world. Bob Dylan thought of him as one of his inspirations.
Really?
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I had a quote from, let me see if I can find this. Bob Dylan said, Jolsen, who was somebody whose life I could feel.
Wow.
And David Bowie. And Bing Crosby, of course. They were all influenced by this man.
Well, why don't we listen to a clip?
Okay, sure.
I heard a robin this morning. I'm feeling happy today. Gonna pack my cares in a whistle and blow them all away. What if I've been unlucky? Really, I ain't got a thing. There's a time I always feel happy as a king. When the red, red robin comes bobbing along, there'll be no more.
Well, that was a great song.
It's fun. He had that cantor's voice, by the way. You'll hear that in his singing. He had the melancholy, and he also had that energy, too, that he brought. His own energy he brought to the whole thing. On his... Georgie Jessel. Jolsen made the first talking picture, okay?
Right.
Of success. Georgie Jessel should have made it. But he said, I don't think there's any money in that. Doesn't sound like a good idea. So Jolsen said, I'll tell you what, you give me part of your stock, and I'll do the movie. And Warner Brothers did.
Oh my goodness.
And the blackface thing, just one more thing. In 1911, Al Jolsen went out and told Broadway houses if he couldn't have black people in his performances, he wasn't going to. He was the first entertainer to stand up for black people. And I know that sounds bizarre because here he goes out on stage with his blackface. But I'll tell you what, he really believed that these folk that were not getting recognition should have it. And he stood up for them. So, there are lots more things.
What a guy.
I know. What the heck, The world's greatest entertainer. So
that's Al Jolsen.
Al Jolsen. And thank you, and have a good day, and bye.
See you next time.